Welcome back to the Cheap Heat Productions podcast. Welcome back to the show, and what a great guest I have today. WWE Hall of Famer, Kama Mustafa, the Godfather, Papa Shango, the Godfather. What do you want to be addressed as today, man?
Man, I think, first of all, Morris, thanks for having me on the show, my brother. Man, you can, all those will work. You can throw Bear in there, Big Dog, I don't know. I'll answer to all of them, bro.
Yeah. Listen, man, we'll start off by, I sent you an email there last week, and I had WWE graphic designer Tom Fleming, who done your Papa Shango outfit when you were coming into the WWE. And he sent me, did you read the article I sent you? That's the first question.
I think I scanned over it. I was like, yeah.
His story was basically that he was getting your outfit ready for your debut, and the Ultimate Warrior kind of walked over your cape and kicked it to the side. Do you have any memories of that?
What?
Yeah. Maybe you weren't there at the time, but he was getting your outfit ready for you to put on, and the Warrior came past, and this is what Tom told me, and he just kicked your cape to the side and went to the bathroom.
First I've ever heard any of that. That's
okay.
I've never heard any of that before.
I should have sent Tom the link and just threw him in here and got him to tell the story. But like I was,
I'd like to hear it. See?
Yeah, because I'll send it to you after the show. I'll send it into your email. But
why was he hating on me like that?
I don't know.
That's why I put a curse on his ass.
We guessed it was because you were the new guy coming in, maybe, and I don't know. I don't know the guy, so I can't really say what the problem was. But
yeah, no, that's the first I've heard of that story.
Yeah, because I looked up and I couldn't find the story anywhere else. Tom said he had told it before, but it wasn't picked up by any wrestling news articles. But then I obviously researched yourself and the Warrior, and you guys
we got
have
to
a
see
good
if
relationship.
Tom's been smoking or drinking a lot, man. You know, we got to check his memory and shit.
But in terms of your characters, like they were great in the business, like Papa Shango and the Godfather and the Goodfather, that turn. Do you find that these days in wrestling that not enough emphasis is on characters? Like the guys are great wrestlers, but do you find that there's a lack of characters in wrestling, like the larger than lives and stuff like that?
I think that element is missed now, and I have that discussion with people all the time. You know, but times change, people change, audiences changes, and people expect, I mean, they change for a reason. If people still wanted it that way, they would basically, wouldn't you think they'd be still doing it? I think now it's different time, different people, and maybe they don't see it the way that the old school or even older than that see it. Personally, I think it's missed. I mean, that Attitude Era, and I just watch my old clips and just, you had such interaction with the crowd, man. And when I got into wrestling on that part, when we became the Godfather, I just said, Vince, they see enough wrestling. They see enough of that. I said, let me go out and entertain them. I'm like, I'm just going to go out there and entertain them. I said, the wrestling won't even matter. I said, let me entertain them.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And we just, the whole Godfather thing was for me. It was me being me and me entertaining the people, the boys, just everybody, man. It was just a cool thing to be out there just being myself. But, you know, I think that's missed. The crowd, you'd have to see if the crowd still want that. You know, it was, people hated on me so bad, like you just said about walking on the cape. When I came in as Papa Shango, the older dudes hated on me. If I wasn't so big and bad, they probably would have hated on me more, but they were probably still scared of me. So, but they hated on me, man. I was going to ruin wrestling. It was
Yeah.
going to be the end. It was going to be the worst thing. Wrestling will never be all that bullshit. So I don't hate on any of the generations or any of the eras. And this is what I say. I just tell people, man, if you didn't get a chance to see the Attitude Era, man, go check it out, because I'm glad and blessed to be a part of it, and a big part of it.
Yeah. How did the Godfather character come about, and how much input did you have in it?
The WWE had no input whatsoever. It was all me and my wife, and mostly my wife's idea. And the whole thing was, she said, basically, instead of trying to be a voodoo man, or instead of trying to be this or that, or a militant or an ultimate fighter, just be yourself. And I've always worked at strip clubs. I had a little stake in one here in Vegas. I just became me. And they had it was all me and my wife. My wife would have the jewelry made, the vests made, the jackets made, fur coats, the airbrusher. I mean, I would just basically smoke, stay high, and do my thing. I was out there, bro. I was just having fun. I was never, ever scripted, ever. Unless I was coming back to interrupt a wedding or something. But unless I had to hit a town, a key point, I was free reign to say whatever I wanted to say. And they had no idea. I'm telling you, they had no idea what I was going to say, nor did the other wrestler have any idea. I know that clip where I was offered the Undertaker some hose one time.
Yes, I only watched it earlier.
I was just with him not too long ago. I was just with him 3 weeks ago. We had that discussion. I'm like, you didn't have no idea what I was going to tell you, did you? He goes, no. He goes, I don't believe you said that shit either, motherfucker. Yeah, he had no idea I was going to say that. We just knew what the start of the match was going to be. He had no idea I was going to do that. Believe me.
You could tell when I was watching that you nearly cracked him.
I don't know, God rest his soul, but if you go back and watch it, and I say, I know you like hoes.
Yeah.
And then Paul Bearer, if you watch Paul Bearer go, oh yeah. A lot of people miss that, but he goes,
I didn't see that.
Yeah. But yeah, he had no idea. So that was, I think that element's missed a lot. But do people want it, or do they want to see the high spots and all that stuff now?
I think a nice mix of everything would be the way to go, really.
Yeah.
Just like it was. But
well, then again, it would be, you couldn't do, in today's society, you could not do what we were doing. You couldn't be that racy, that edgy. And to be that, you couldn't, I mean, that's probably another reason you probably can't. You know? There's no way that you'll ever see another Godfather how I was on TV as you'll never see it again. Yeah. Like, are you joking me?
Did you pitch the idea for the Godfather directly to Vince McMahon?
No. Me and Bradshaw, I was Kama in the Nation of Domination. I'm wrestling Bradshaw. We're working the popcorn match, which is the match after intermission, which is like nobody cares about match. And me and Bradshaw are beating the hell out of each other. And so I'd kind of, at that point, I'd start growing my hair. I'd start wearing a little bit more gold. And I said, John, let's try something. And then Jack Lanza, God rest his soul, he just passed. I said, Jack, let me try something tonight with John. So me and John were going 10, 12 minutes with no reaction from the people. People were basically sitting on their hands. Nobody cared about him or me. We went from that to, I'm like, John, let's try this tonight. So I went out there and I'm like, I grabbed the mic, and now I'm, my hair grows fast. I have braids and I've got this and that. So I just go, hey, I'm just going to come out and say it, man. I'm a pimp. And then people kind of chuckled. And I said, but what you don't know is right here in St. Louis, man, they got some of the best hoes ever born, and the people are popping. I'm like, how do I know? Because there's one of my old hoes. I'd point out a bunch of girls, right? Yeah. And then I'd point to somebody that was fat or old. I'd be like, well, she's a little big and old now, but hey, pimping ain't easy. And the people are laughing. So I would offer John the girls, And I'd be like, we can either fight or you can take these hoes. I didn't even have any girls. I'd say
Yeah.
in the back, in a limo right now, or back at the hotel. All right. And so the people would start chatting, take the hose, take the hose. And I'd be sitting there going, and I'd tell John, I'd be like, hey, man, I'm going over anyway. You know, I said, so take the hose.
Yeah.
And so he'd take the hose, right? And so then he'd walk down. Okay, now mind you, now we're in 10, 12 minutes. The people are chanting, take the hose. And from that to now, everybody sitting on their hands. So then I would change this. I got another dumb redneck. I would heal on the people. And then John would turn around, come back. I'd turn around, he'd hit me with the lariat. 1, 2, 3. I would jump up, grab the mic and say, man, pimping ain't easy. And the place would pop. And from that one time, Jack Lanza, it got over that right there. Jack called Vince and said, hey, we might have something here. So the next night, Jack Lanza said, hey, can you do it again? And if you want, you know, and we want to really take a look at this, we might have some legs to this. Okay, so we did it again. Now we had a couple of days off. When I got the TV, Vince says, hey, can you go? You think you can find some girls? He goes, I want to see what we do. And I'm like, Vince, me find some girls? Are you joking? So me, Undertaker, and the Harris twins, Ron and Don Harris, we went to the normal strip club, got some girls, said, hey, and they, you know, they didn't know us. They knew the Undertaker. Yeah. And so we got some girls, took them back to TV, put them on stage with my little show where I offered the girls instead of fighting, he was going to take the girls and it was going to be it. And it got over so much the very first time I did it on at this point, they have nothing to do with it. Nothing. Yeah. I kind of told Vince, I'm like, hey, listen now, I'm going to go after the smoking and I'm going to talk about a lot of shit here. I just want you to know. And after that first time, bro, I went from walking through the airport with people maybe noticing you or they're like, hey, that's that wrestler dude, to people going, Godfather, where's the hose? From that Monday night to that Tuesday, it was like over like Rover.
Yeah. When we talk about, obviously you're a good friend of the Undertaker, and back in the day, like when he used to live the character in his real life as well, you know, he'd kind of be dressed in black. He wouldn't be seen in public that much. What was a typical night like for you guys if you wanted to go for a drink or something? How would he? What would he do? Where would he go?
We would get, after the building, we get showered up. We would hit the nearest strip club, and we'd be at that strip club till it closed, and then we'd be there 2 or 3 hours after that, and then we'd probably get back to our hotel rooms with just enough time to get our bags and get on a plane to go someplace else. We'd sleep on the plane, land, check into our hotels, go to the gym, go do the thing over again, and then go to the nearest strip club and do it all over again and drink many bottles of Jack Daniels.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. In terms of yourself, like you said to me that you're a big smoker, and that's cool, man. I like to smoke myself. I don't get to smoke as much as I used to because of our laws over here. It's not as easy to get over here, let's just say that.
Okay.
But in terms of Vince, is he tolerant of, would he have been tolerant back in the day of you smoking, or does he have a problem with it? Or
I always say this. I'll keep my drug records between me and Vince. Yeah. But I will say this. They've always been super fucking cool with me. And they've always allowed me to be me. And I got nothing but love and respect for them. I don't know what their policies are now, but they were really cool with me.
Yeah. I was only saying,
but mind you now, I didn't do no steroids. I didn't do pain pills, but they were very cool with me.
Yeah, so you were the kind of the least of their problems, really, because I was reading today.
I was the least of their problems.
Yeah, I was reading today that you were smoked in the Undertaker's casket.
Okay, well maybe I just did caught all the time. Yeah. But, you know, I'd say, like I always tell people, they were really cool with me.
Did the Undertaker find out about that?
I don't know, man. It wasn't like. Dude, it was like I needed it was back then they had what was called one hitters, you know, you could just take a little hit real quick puff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was probably right before the match, and I was like, "Fuck!" I didn't want to get busted. I didn't, even though I smoked, I didn't want to be just throwing it in their face in the back smoking, you know. So
Yeah.
I was probably like, "Fuck!" It was probably windy outside or raining outside, so I'm looking for some place to go. So I got the casket. They shut the casket, took off. I was probably going in it later anyway. So
Yeah. The Undertaker's on-screen brother, Kane. Did you get to work much with him, and what is he like as a person? Because I've always been kind of
good.
intrigued
Glenn
by him.
Jacobs, good dude, man. Good dude. He wasn't part of none of that nonsense like me and Taker were. Good dude. When I met him, he was Dr. Yankum.
Yeah.
Isaac Yankum. That's when I met him.
Yeah.
Just a good, humble, smart, intelligent, good dude, man. I mean, look at him now. He's the mayor.
Yeah.
So I mean, good, yeah, he didn't do any of that stuff that we did.
No, he wasn't a big partiers like you guys.
No, he wasn't. No, he I don't think the most we probably ever did was Glenn probably walked by. If he seen us at the bar at the hotel, he probably bought us a shot of beer and kept moving. That's probably the most he would have did.
Yeah, he would have just like, nope, not getting involved.
Well, he knew better. He's like, this is gonna be hanging out with those two. It's gonna hunt me one day.
Yeah. In terms of getting into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2016, how much did that mean to you?
Dude, honor, bro. I never thought they'd put a pimp in there. But you know, when you go back and you know, if it's mid card, upper card, if you go back and really look at my body of work and look at all the characters, and I mean, to this day, I'm still under a Legends contract with them. They're still making my action figures. You're still a relevance, relevance. So that, you know, not a lot of world championships, but every one of my characters was involved in something big, from, you know, Papa Shango to the Common, the Nation of Domination, the Godfather. So, you know, I and even Right to Censor, that guy.
Yeah.
But you know, I did the best with that, what I had to work with, man. And if you look overall, like I said, man, I think I deserved it.
Yeah, I think so. Is it something that's talked about between pro wrestlers? Maybe if you know someone that isn't in the Hall of Fame, would they be saying, "Oh, I hope I get in this year"? Is it that important to wrestlers, or is it just?
I know that it's important to a lot of guys, but they don't go around and probably say it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's important. It's important to a lot of guys that aren't in for whatever, that deserve to be in, but for whatever reason they're not. You know, yeah.
Yeah. Is there anyone that comes to mind for you that you think should be there but isn't there?
You know, I think Dan Spivey.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Spivey, Waylon Mercy. I mean, he's done a lot in this business. He should be in there. I mean, I can go on and on if I really sit here and think about it, but I mean, there's a lot of guys for whatever. I mean, there's a lot of political reasons too.
Yeah, and there's other things that
I'm very well liked, so I knew sooner or later I'd get in. I know all the secrets.
So one man that will go in eventually is The Rock, who you worked with back in the day in the Nation for a while. Is it true that he gave up driving in a car with you?
Yeah.
He
came to I laughed because he came to me one day. He's like, "Big dog, I can't ride with you no more. I mean, why can't you ride with me, man?" He goes, "Dude, everywhere I go, I smell like weed." He goes, and they're like, "Rock, you smell like weed." He tells them, "Dude, I don't know if he smokes now or not. People tell me he does, but he didn't then."
Yeah.
So he'd be like, he goes, "Every place I go, people say I smell like weed." And they're like, okay. And then the next time they see me, they're like, "Dude, you said that last time you smell like," because every time I get in the car, I'd fire up. It was just, back then, man, I thought it was legal. I didn't have Snoop Dogg money or popularity, but dude, people used to just let me, I'd walk around and people just let me smoke. So I did. But so, yeah, he says, I can't. So him and Mark Henry and D-Lo started riding together. And then me and Ron and John started riding together, which was just perfect. They drank and I smoked. So it worked out.
So it was the perfect balance.
Yeah.
We'll touch on the whole train again for a second, because the initial combination, you guys went and got the girls. So from then on in, obviously they took control of that. what way were they sourcing the girls? It was probably like independent wrestlers and models, was it, in the areas?
After the very first time I was on TV, they took it over.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce Pritchard was one of the first ones, and he was getting them from strip clubs. But it got over so fast that strip clubs started calling the WWEF, whatever it was at the time, and saying, "Hey, we'd love you to use our girls in this thing," you know. And then it got to a point that they thought the strippers were getting so wild and crazy that they start hiring actresses from actress unions or whatever, and then those girls were worse than the strippers. And so it was, it was so. If it was up to Vince, believe me, bro, if it was up to Vince, he'd be doing that gimmick today. He just took so much heat because, I mean, I was out there calling girls hoes, talking about selling pussy, talking about smoking weed. I mean, come on, man.
How do you think, if you were to go on to Raw next week and do that, what do you think would happen?
Oh, I'd be over like Rover, bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many complaints would they get?
If my music hit on Raw, if that music hit, the place would pop. And then if I walked out by myself, they'd pop for a second. Then they'd be like, but they'd start chatting, we what? And then if I reached back and pointed to the curtain and called some girls out, you'd beat AEW that hour.
Yeah, for sure. Are you officially retired now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I seen you done a charity match, was it last year? I think I seen online.
Yeah, but I didn't do anything. It was a charity that we did it for.
Yeah.
No rest. I'm retired. I do a lot of signings and stuff. Very seldom. If I get in the ring, it's just to cut a promo. Most of the things I do are signings, so I'm not really wrestling where there's wrestling shows. I'm way too old. I don't act it, but I'm old. If you start counting them years, you're like, oh wow, he is. I'll be 61 years old this year.
Yeah, but you don't look.
I act like I'm about 25, 30. I act like a kid. Still do.
So if there was a spot going next year in the Royal Rumble for something quick and
no,
definitely not.
Dude, they ask me all the time. They in the past, in the whatever that thing called, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, whatever.
Yeah,
they wanted to do one year. They wanted to do where I came out as Kama.
Yeah,
and then I went back and I shaved my head, and I came out as Papa Shango. Yeah. And then I came back as Godfather. It was whatever, but I was going to do like all three characters in one night. They were going to do that a couple of times, but I told them no. And then another time they wanted me to be Papa Shango. It's when they were in New Orleans. One of those times they wanted me to be in it as Papa Shango, and I said no.
Yeah, you're just not feeling it physically.
I don't want to get hurt, bro. It ain't. I mean, I'm 60 years old. I don't need to be out there breaking my. I mean, it's not worth it to me to get out there and wrestle and do something stupid and get hurt, and you don't heal like you did when you were 20 years old. So it's just not worth it to me.
Yeah,
I always tell, if you want me to do something, it's got to be talking. I got to talk some shit with the girls. We'll have a good time. I'll walk off with the girls, but I'm not taking no bumps. Ain't nobody putting me through nothing. I ain't no physical. No.
Yeah,
I'm way past that.
You're not ruling out potential appearances, then we'll say.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah. In terms of the right to censor, when you got introduced into that, how did you feel about that? Was it something you enjoyed because it was a different character?
That was probably the unhappiest time in my life.
Really?
One thing about me in wrestling, that's why you'd see me come and go. It wasn't about money for me. I always had the strip clubs. I always had money coming in. It was never about money. It was about me having a good time with a bunch of crazy dudes that were big, crazy, strong dummies like me that liked to party and have fun. When I wasn't having fun, I would tell Vince, I'm out. And he knew I wasn't going to go no place else. He would just laugh and say, Charles, go home and come back when you're ready. And then they'd call me and they'd offer me something. I'd say, nah, I don't really want to do that. And I would be, and then they'd say, well, why don't you ride a Harley? I'm like, I can ride a Harley? You know, it was like that. And so when it came to the right to censor and that change, I was having so much fun as being the Godfather and being myself every day, just being myself 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
then all of a sudden to come in one day to shake away from you, and I'm not the Godfather. I'm not what? I'm in the what? What? I just telling Vince. I kept saying, so I got no more hoes. And Vince he would keep talking. I'd be like, so I don't have my hoes no more. I kept saying that. Vince fought for me till the end. You have no idea. He would tell me, Charles, I'm taking so much pressure from this group, from that group, for what you're doing. He goes, I'm fighting them off, bro. He goes, but it's coming. And he told me that. He goes, but they were getting rid of the suck it, and they were getting rid of all that stuff. They were really changing. And so he's like, I'm going to make fun of these. So he's like, I'm going to put you in the RTC just for a little while, just to kind of get out of this. We'll figure out what we're going to do. And once he did that, I said, I'm out of here. I said, I'm going to quit. I said, I ain't doing this shit. And so I told him, I basically said, I want to finish out this program and then leave. And so I thought there'd be a quick program. And then Vince, being the funny man that he is, he dropped the belts on me and Bull. We beat the Hardy Boys. And so, I mean, I'm not going to leave him like that. So right after that, they tried to do a thing where I wasn't a pimp. I was an escort. They weren't hoes. They were da-da-da. And I wasn't allowed to say pimp. I couldn't talk about smoking. And people didn't want that. They wanted the old Godfather. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, I think the last people wanted was the PG Godfather.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not me.
Yeah. So you really loved that character because it was kind of like it was your life really as the Godfather.
Yeah, it was just hard, man. It was hard. You have, like I said, you have no idea to get paid to be you. And believe me, everything basically I was saying I was doing or had something to do with. And it was just cool. And Rod Sims used to say, these motherfuckers don't know. You out there fooling them. They all up there laughing. They don't know you doing all this shit you say you doing. And I used to laugh at him. And he said, you're fooling them. You got them all fooled. Look at him. But so that was hard for me to do that. I did the best I could. To this day, I was like, I've never really been a bully in my life, but I took it out. Even though it wasn't his fault, I kind of took it out on Steven Richards. And I was really mean to him. But I was just unfortunately, he was the one I blamed, but it was not his fault. But I'm sure, So anyway, if I ever see him, I'm apologize for being that mean.
Yeah. In what way do you mean you were mean to him? You just were off with him because you didn't want to do it.
I was just kind of just mean, man. I took it out on him that I wasn't the Godfather, so I just wasn't a nice person, and he knew I wasn't a nice person to him.
Yeah,
and I let it go at that. But I to this day, like if I ever see him, I apologize because it wasn't his fault. I was just taking it out on him.
Yeah,
I told him one time. There was a part where Shane was in this video. I was supposed to be. Me and Bull were champions. I was supposed to be talking over him. He was supposed to turn around and slap me in the face. And so I told him, I'm like, you slapped me, motherfucker. I just said, so this is over. I'll beat your motherfucking. I was mean. And so he kept going. And Shane kept getting so fucking mad at him that Shane took it out and shit. But he would never, because I told him, like, you slap me, motherfucker, I'm going to kill you when this shit's over. And so he would shit. I mean, just shit like that. I mean, just shit like that.
Yeah. When you think about your career, I always kind of ask this question. It's a difficult one. Like, who was your favorite person or persons to work with?
Are you joking me?
Nope.
Come on. I gave you 3 tries, and the first one don't count. The first 2 don't count. Come on, man. Godfather is me.
Mm-hmm.
Is
this so? Your 3. I don't know if you would pick favorite matches or would you pick friends or who. I don't know.
On what?
If you were to pick 3 guys, we'll say that were your favorite to work with in the business.
Oh man, that'd be everybody, man. I loved working with Taker. I love working with Bret Hart. I love working with Sean. I loved working with Owen Hart. I love that. Mm-hmm. Maybe that was probably Owen Hart was probably the best one because if you wrestled Owen Hart, you were gonna have fun no matter what. Somewhere there, he was gonna make you laugh or do something stupid. So I'd say Owen Hart. Yeah,
Owen Hart.
I'm gonna go with that one.
In terms of your current day-to-day life then? What do you get up to? I know you do conventions and things like that, but what's a day in your life like these days?
Oh, I get up early and I kind of get all my little business on the social media done. I also have, like, I don't know if you know this, but in California, I have my own strain of marijuana.
Wow.
It's called Insane Godfather. See, out here in a lot of states out here, it's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is all nothing underground. It's all legal. It's all regulated. Nevada's legal. Most of a lot of the states, it's legal where you can buy it in stores and stuff like, I know it sounds kind of weird, but, so I have my own strain. I'm involved. I have my own little products in Vegas, usually by 2:00, like right now, our time, 3:00, I'm done. I'm just chilling for the rest of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
I fly a lot still on the weekends. I leave a lot on the weekends. I go to LA every now and then and do a podcast called Dr. Green Thumbs with Be Real. But yeah, I'm still busy.
Yeah. And the wrestling convention world is huge at the moment, isn't it? Now, I know things have taken a hit with COVID and different things like that.
Unless they shut the world back down, brother, it's busy. I mean, I'm taking more bookings than I normally do. And I'm like, dude, next 3 months, 4 months, I have like 1 week in January, 1 week in March. Other than that, I'm like booked and solid. I took like 6 or 7 bookings yesterday. It's crazy. So yeah, they're starving for it.
Yeah. And do you enjoy these conventions when you get to meet guys that you've worked with? Like
Oh yeah, bro.
Yeah. What do you get up to?
Oh fuck yeah, dude! I was just one in Pennsylvania called. It was at the old ECW arena, and it was called. I think it was Icons of Wrestling or something. And there was just everybody. I mean, I'd seen Barbarian, Haku, Rikishi, Gangrel, Jerry Lawler, Jake the Snake, Lex Luger, Demolition. I mean, you see everybody, and it's good to get a break. And everybody has a line. Everybody's doing good. Sting was there. I mean, I could keep going. It was just, and it's cool to go by and say hi to everybody. So I love it, man. I actually like seeing the people too.
Yeah. Listen, man, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. Really appreciate your time today, and I look forward to maybe seeing you. I'm coming to America for the first time for Mania in Dallas next year, so you never know, you might be at some convention down there.
I'll be at the WrestleCon. They're not bringing. Normally they bring you in for these things, but this year they're not bringing. If you're not involved in what they're doing, they're not bringing extra people in. So, but I will be at WrestleCon there.
Yeah, I will see you there in person.
Are you going to be there?
I will be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. Whatever. I think it's Friday and Saturday. But yeah, come by and say hi.
I will. Thanks very much, man.
All right, man.